What's up? Your topic here. The Bucks are facing a tricky six-game stretch following their California road trip. Go ahead, Mr. Unger.
So I looked up the Bucks schedule and it's very intriguing. So right now Milwaukee is in third place in the Eastern Conference, although they're tied with the Cavs. So we'll see. That could change tomorrow. But following their California road trip, which they finished up on Tuesday with a 129-94 loss against Sacramento, they come home to play Philadelphia tonight. Then on Sunday, March 17th, they host Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and the Phoenix Suns. Then next Wednesday, they're going to be in Boston to take on the Celtics. March 21st, they have a back-to-back at home against Brooklyn. And then March 24th, they host Oklahoma City. And then they finish off the six-game stretch by hosting LeBron, Anthony Davis, and the LA Lakers. So the six-game stretch goes Philadelphia, Phoenix, Boston, Brooklyn, Oklahoma City, LA.
Yeah, obviously Brooklyn's the easiest team in that stretch, and sometimes if Miles Bridges goes off, that's not an easy thing. I think for the Bucks, we know they're not getting the one seed. Nobody's getting the one seed besides the Boston Celtics. So it really comes down to, and I think the Bucks, the Cavs, and to extent the Knicks are in this equation. Who do you want to try to avoid?
Miami.
Obviously, I think it's Miami. You feel the same way. So it really depends on seeding. Are these losses actually going to benefit you if you drop a seed or two and you can avoid Miami at all possible costs to the conference finals? If you're Milwaukee, do you want to avoid Boston? I would rather avoid Miami than Boston. Like if I have to play Boston in the second round, I've been saying it all year. I still think the Bucks match up well against the Celtics. I don't think the Celtics have a great force to stop Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think Drew Holiday would make it very tough on Damian Lillard, but I think it would just be a Giannis series where I don't think Al Horford, who is, Porzingis is, as thin as a twig, basically. I think Giannis would take him apart.
Chris
So,
Middleton is the wild card, though, for the
and
Bucks.
absolutely. And Middleton has a good series. I think they could knock off Boston. The way I look at it is Miami is probably, they could get up to six, right? But they're more than likely going to finish in the play-in. And then we don't know what Philadelphia is going to be because if Joel Embiid does come back, if that's a play-in team, like if I'm Milwaukee, if I have to go up against Philly in round one, I don't want to do that. If I'm Cleveland and I have to go up against Philly with Embiid in round one, I don't want to do that either.
I agree. Philadelphia is only 2.5 back of fifth place Orlando. And then Indiana, they're tied with Philadelphia. And Indiana's back in seventh. And then you have Miami in eighth, only a game back of both Philadelphia and Indiana.
So if I had to guess right now, I think Miami is going to be the sixth, and I think Philly's going to end up in the play-in.
I would agree with you. But I look at this stretch for the Bucks. You got Phoenix coming in, which when healthy, the Suns are viable threat, I would say, because you still have Kevin Durant, and we know what Kevin Durant is. Obviously, Boston, that's a tough game. Playing Brooklyn on the second night of a back-to-back after playing in Boston is going to be tricky for them, but I agree.
They might get blown out that game. I was unaware that was a back-to-back. That's a tricky game.
Yeah, that's a back-to-back. Then you got Oklahoma City, which we were going to talk about tonight's game between the Mavericks and the Thunder, but unfortunately, Luka Doncic is out for that game, so that lessens my excitement level.
And you are arguably playing Oklahoma City. Could you make the argument that right behind Jokic, I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is second in MVP voting?
If I had a vote, I would vote for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. That's just me, though.
And I get it, and I understand it, but like I told you, I think it was a week or two ago, I'm not into this voter fatigue thing that a guy's won MVP, so let's not give it to him. I think
That has nothing to do with do with it for me.
Well, no, but I'm saying that might have something to do with it for voters. I think Nikola Jokic is just undisputably the best player in the world.
Oh, I agree with you. But the reason I would give it to Shea is because nobody was expecting the Oklahoma City Thunder to be fighting with the Nuggets for the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. Like we saw flat.
I hate to say this, but as great as Shea is, I don't know if he's superstar level. He's on that Jason Tatum level to me because there is this in the NBA. I think Devin Booker's on that list. Where they're really, 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 really good players. I think Jimmy Butler, regular season Jimmy Butler's on this list as well. They're just not at that next level guy that can carry a team all the way through the playoffs, in my opinion.
I hear you on that. And I know we're not talking about this specifically, but I gotta bring up Jason Tatum for a minute because you've been trying to tell me that Tatum is not that MVP level guy, and you know what? I'm starting to come around on that.
He's starting. It only took 2 years of arguments.
I'm starting to come around because, and I'll tell you why. One, because of the meltdown in Cleveland that I was at, and then the game in Denver in a possible finals preview. Jaylen Brown went off for like 40 points, something like that. I'd have to look up the exact stat.
Jaylen Brown went about 40.
Okay. And Jason Tatum, I don't think he even had 20 points that game.
I thought he had 22, but I could be wrong. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Listen, if Milwaukee does good in this 6 stretch, Giannis goes off, let's say, is there a possibility, Giannis sneaks into that MVP conversation very late?
I think so. I think it's a little too late. I would say it's more so down to Jokic and SGA. But, if the Bucks are able to come out of the stretch like 4-2 or maybe 5-1, that really legitimizes them as a threat in the East.
Hell, if I'm Milwaukee, I think them and the Cavs are sort of in the same boat. I want Orlando. I know Indiana beat them in the regular season, but I would want Indiana. I just think those two teams are both puppies who have not had, especially in Orlando's case, playoff experience, where I think the team with playoff experience would dominate that series. I think Orlando is a good team, but I think that they are a year away. Same thing with Indiana, where I think, they bring toughness. Could they win a round? Sure. But those are the two teams that I would want to face in the first round.
Oh, I fully agree. But let me just give a quick shout out to the Orlando Magic because I'm so happy for them as a franchise that they're doing this well because they've been stuck in purgatory for so long.
And it's the worst place to be in the NBA. I've always said this, and this is why I've been pessimistic about our Cavs, because even though we're not at that level of purgatory, there is another level of purgatory. And that is, can you get over the first or second round of the playoffs? Philadelphia has been stuck in this for years. And I think it's the worst place to be in the NBA because how can you get excited about your team when you know you're going home in early April and you're not going to be any worse?
Right. But, to see the Magic even in position to make the playoffs, I think is a win in itself for Orlando.
Well, for Orlando, I wouldn't say so for the NBA because it's not a great market, I would say. But I did predict Orlando to be a play-in tournament team, so they did a little better than I thought. But I had Orlando as a potential playoff team when the year started.
I think I did too, but I don't think I was expecting them to be top 6.